It's your intellect once again. So today we are revising our June 2020 advanced level FRS question number 1, which says explain the concept of salvation in Zimbabwean churches. Enjoy.
Paper 2. So the question reads, explain the concept of salvation in Zimbabwean churches. So when you are explaining, you are just giving explanation, you are evaluating the concept of salvation. But before we go further, we must know the term salvation. Salvation, it is, what is salvation? In English. Salvation is deliverance from sin. And it shona tinoti kukwanisidwa nezvese. So when we are talking about salvation, we are talking about the event whereby one is bound to know about Zimbabwean churches. In this case, we are dealing with the fact that as we are studying FRS, we must know our contemporary society. When the question says contemporary society, it is referring not in your society. For example, you live in Chitungwiza, you live in Bindura, you live in whatsoever. They do not say, if they say contemporary society, they did not say in your own society. For example, maybe you are in Gweru, maybe you are in Chitungwiza, then you say, I'm writing something about. No, our contemporary society, as we are studying this, it's Zimbabwe in particular. Are we together? So what they do here is, you must know salvation is free from sin. And salvation is divided into two. That's the number one aspect. You must know that we have got what we call temporary salvation and permanent salvation. When you are talking about the temporary salvation, it is the salvation that we enjoy here on earth. Permanent salvation is eternal. For example, enjoying paradise. Are we together? So you are now giving us the importance of the concept of salvation and its negative impact. So candidates are expected, the key issue is an assessment of the concept of salvation in Zimbabwe. And the key issue is an assessment of the concept of salvation in Zimbabwe. The key issue is an assessment of the concept of salvation in Zimbabwe, giving its positive and negative attributes. So, in your introduction, you must show us that there is permanent salvation and temporary salvation. Are we together? Saka, tiri papo. Temporary salvation up. Explain at explain what the concept of salvation has got a positive impact. For example, in temporary salvation, we've got issues such as healing. Are we together? According to Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, Jesus aka healan. Vray Bible tivering. Saka apa muna akangwara zvaunoita unolinga kuti the concept of temporary salvation in Zimbabwean churches. Apa inini ndikukudzidzisai ndichida kuibata yese. Andika both biblical nechimunzwa izvo zvanduta. Kungoti ugare uchingoziva kuti alright salvation zvadai. But apa paibvunzwa in Zimbabwe alright ande. So according to Matthew chapter and he went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every disease and every infirmity among the people. That's according to Matthew chapter 4 verse 23. Matthew chapter 4 verse 23. Iri kutibuditsira kuti how healing concept was temporarily even in the Bible, in the early church. And as well as in Zimbabwe, healing as a temporary salvation, we have witnessed it in 2015 at a prophetic healing deliverance church, where Prophet Magaya have healed soldier love from leg cancer. And ndobvapora mukomana, is something good, something positive. Tabatana right, unosana ndivhurirawo mavhesi apa. Then to end up our enterprise. in terms of enterprise, alright, pa enterprise tunoenda pana Matthew chapter 5 verse 2 handika ndizoka zvikanzi izvoni, and he opened his mouth and taught them saying, alright, apa seeing the crowds, he went up to the mountain. Alright, paifana kuenda fanaita chapter 5 here baba ndakanyorwa hapo kana ndindatadza panzi Matthew chapter 5 verse 2 aiwa ifanodaro because apa pari kunzi pakanganisika pa blessed are the poor in spirits, for they are blessed are those who mourn, for they are aya ma beatitudes anowanikwa pana Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5 hapana nhau dzeuyu man dzeku buying and selling. Or 23 ndasirira maida kuti hapana 23 kuti muti chii aiwa zvisiriso. Alright, we'll cross check, but tungoti alright, for example, we can take note of the issue. Even if you go, it should be Luke, alright, in Luke chapter 2, it should be chapter 2, chapter 3, whereby Jesus have commanded his disciples to launch the nets unto the deep. My disciples vavabata fish. He was promoting enterprise because these individuals vaizikanwa vari vanhu vairaura. Then tiri ipapo pa enterprise apo tine ma-issues api. We have got Zayoja, it has established the ZEG. Why we are talking about enterprise? Vari kupinda into business. Ku PhD futi vane hotel. Tikaenda pa UFIC apa pa checha Prophet Makandiwa epa yedu, it's part of tourism. Because other people, for example, vana kusiba hotel, vakato visitawo kuyaku vachitoiona, it's part of tourism. Pavanouya vane vachito promotawo pani vanoya nendege, they are now promoting enterprise in Zimbabwe. Andikuona then tiri ipapo toenda pama miracles. Or for example, Jesus walked in water, and we can take note of Zimbabwe. Prophet Hubert Angel vakaita ma miracles api, vanoita ma miracles miracle money. According to Miracle TV, vanonamatira vanhu matransaction achipinda mumafoni. Tine ma-issues ema-miracles akafanana na, for example, Paul Mwasha. According to Divine and Commission of Paul Mwasha, volume 1 and 2, Paul Mwasha have resurrected Maichaza from death. Then by papo toenda pa deliverance. Pa deliverance apa kunamatirwa kwevanhu. For example, we can take note of the deliverance of Legion. Angani madimoni akawanda. Tone Matthew chapter 9 iri kuti chi? Chapter 9 verse 20. And he said to them, the Christ of church command. Alright. Luke, ndoda Matthew. Sorry. Alright. Join us. How do I tadza kuoparita foni handivurewa Matthew chapter 9 9 pari kunzanzi zvoni and behold, a woman who had suffered from hemorrhage for 12 years, this is the woman of the issue of blood, came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment. Vapora, that's a deliverance. He was delivered from hemorrhage. Saka tiri kuti chi, even in Zimbabwe, we've got issues like vanhu sa Prophet Magaya vane umwe munhu aipenga weku Enugu, ani munoziva nyaya iyoyo munogara kuno Chitungwisa. There was an individual who lived near Sekefo aipenga, vakatora vakanamatira vakadii ndofunga nyaya vakamuvakira imba kutodhilivha munhu ikoko. Ndo zvamune muchinyora. Then toyapa wakuexplaina kuti despite kuti tine temporary salvation chichi tine inonzi permanent salvation. Zimbabwean churches, they are talking about parousia. That is the second coming of Christ. They are preaching crusades in Mbare, for example, AFIC vanoita macrusades, vana AFM in Zimbabwe recently baba vane macrusades avaita vachiparidzira kuti Jesu ari kudzoka, tendeukai. For example, even in the early church, Peter, Paul and Silas, they moved around Jerusalem vachitendeutsa both Gentiles and non-Gentiles, and they even baptized them according to Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 3. Vachitendeutsa. Then to end up eschatology. Eschatology, it is the issue inotaura nezvei, the end time message, whereby there shall be judgment, whereby the righteous they will go to paradise, the wicked they go to hell. This message is all over Zimbabwe. People they are being taught in churches that they must have what we call permanent salvation. Kurarama kwedu panopa sitiri kutandara, kumba kwedu kudenga, as well as vana Peter vaizvita futi. Then toya pa baptism. People, baptism is helping to designate those who belong to Christ and those who do not belong to Christ. Those who have baptized, they have accepted Christ as their Savior. And they are baptized in Zimbabwe, vanotopuwa ma certificate. For example, iko kunana UFI, kunana Joan Marange, kupi, people are baptized in all forms. Zakasiyana. As well as according to Acts, vakabhabhatidzwa. Ukavhurawo futi the book of Matthew, chapter 2, chapter 3, tine event yekubhabhatidzwa kwakaitwa Jesu. Paipai pakanzi, this is my beloved son, with whom I am well pleased, listen to him. He was baptized as a way yekuti showanzira. Then toya pa repentance. People they are told kuti vanofana kutendeuka, vosiya kuita zvakaipa, such that vaite sei vawane kuenda mudenga. Saka apa takutaura zvepermanent salvation ndo paipai pane pakutaurwa according to Matthew chapter 6 pachinzi pachava nekugeda kwemeno, vanhu vachiti ndaiprofita muzita renyu. Ipapo vanhu vane vachidzidziswa kunzi tendeukai, musapupurire chinhema Mwari. As well as futi apa patinopuwa kana even parable of the sower inototidzisa about repentance, and zvinoparidzwa machechi edu mazuva ano. But takuti however, despite that there is a positive impact of temporary and permanent salvation. We've got issues that are negatively associated with the concept of salvation. My issues are sana daylight robbery. For example, we've got issue yakaita roaming around last month, whereby Prophet Walter Magaya was giving individuals the anointed apples, and these apples they claim mutaitengeswa, and it will be expensive to them. To end up false prophets. According to Matthew chapter 6, kwaane kurise kwema false prophets in the name of salvation. Saka vane vachiti kumunhu, for example, vana madzibaba vave vanoti yetoka hamusi kuzvara vana, tinoisa mushonga totsinjira, vachitorepa munhu. Andikona zvese izvozvo zvakashata. Then tobva taenda pa some of the items they are expensive. We've got the buying and selling of anointed stickers, wristbands, mashirts anenge akanyorwa kunzi we are saved what kumachurches. For example, kona munhu wese anenge ane tracksuit yekuchurch kana shirt yekuchurch yakatengwa, but some they cannot buy it. Saka for them to attain temporary salvation they must buy a wristband kana kuti anointing oil wozora wopora, but hauna mari, saka we shall fail to attain it. Then tabva ipapo toenda pa droning of people. For example, it should be by 2020 the individuals who were trying to baptize each other, for example kumasowe vana madzibaba vakafira muna mazowe demo vachibhabhatidzana, which is something negative which people face in their plight to attain temporary salvation and permanent salvation. This is how we were going to write the question.